Ms. Borboa, are we ready to get started? All right. Good evening, everyone. We're going to get our meeting started this evening. I apologize for the delay from our extended executive session. Tenemos servicios de interpretación disponibles. Por favor, indique con la mesa aquí si necesita servicios de interpretación. Today is Tuesday, September 12th, and on this day in 1962, then President Kennedy delivered the famous "We Chose to Go to the Moon" speech, which launched the STEM movement that led to the moon 7 years later and affects learning and focus of education to this day. September 12th is also Chocolate Milkshake Day and Video Game Day, and also Day of Encouragement. And I encourage our audience to enjoy a chocolate milkshake with a video game tonight. Ms. Borboa, can I get a roll call, please?
Ms. Luna Rose?
Here.
Mr. Romero?
Here.
Ms. Shaw?
Here.
Ms. Ekstrom? Dr. Ravi?
Here. Thank you. And for our land acknowledgement statement, we don't have a student or staff for this tonight, and Ms. Ekstrom has graciously agreed to read us for us tonight.
On behalf of the governing board of the Tucson Unified School District, I, Jennifer Ekstrom, acknowledge that the schools, buildings, and facilities of the Tucson Unified School District reside on the ancestral homeland of the Tohono O'odham Nation and the federally recognized tribal land of the Pascua Yaqui tribe.
Thank you, Ms. Ekstrom. And we do have a student for our Pledge of Allegiance. Is going to be on Zoom or in person? Oh, right here in person. We have Raul Mendoza, a third grader at Kelon Elementary School. Raul is the kind kid in his class and is incredibly responsible. Math is Raul's favorite subject. He loves all art activities they do. Raul's favorite part of Kelon is that his whole family is there. What do you, that's amazing. Thank you for being here tonight. And everyone, please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Raul. All right, are there any agenda adjustments today, Dr. Trio?
Dr. Shaw, yes, we have one agenda adjustment recommended, item 6.2, to honor Mrs. Gallego. We'd like to move that up to immediately follow the call to the audience.
Okay, any objection from the governing board? All right, seeing none, we'll move item 6.2 to immediately following the call to the audience. And I'll turn it back to you, Dr. Trio, for our superintendent's report.
Yes, absolutely. And before we get to the superintendent's report, we have a special treat for everybody here in attendance today as I welcome the Sabino High School Improv Club. With its focus on acceptance, spontaneity, critical thinking, and listening, improvisation teaches skills that extend far beyond theater class. While always a vital component to any art form, many business leaders have begun to emphasize improv skills, including an openness to others' ideas. The self-confidence and trust that comes with their practice helps students become better thinkers, listeners, and teammates. As an important component of the Sabino Theater Arts curriculum, the Sabino Improv Club, directed by Mr. Chris Kissel, has conducted performances and workshops for middle and elementary schools, district principal meetings, community events such as the Festival of Books, Tucson Meet Yourself, and they've partnered with local professional theater groups. And as a proud superintendent that has visited the theater room and have seen them in action, I can say you are in for a treat. Welcome, Mr. Kissel, and your performers this evening. We know that this is going to be amazing. Take it away.
Are we going to be in front here and we can come up?
You probably want to be out here.
Yes, okay.
All right, welcome. We're going to play a couple of different games for you tonight, and then we're going to get out. But our first game we're going to play is a game called Cube of Comedy. So could I ask Spencer, Arden, Annalicia, and Jax on stage, please? So in this game, they're going to get a brief scene starter, and they're going to start a scene based on just that scene starter.
scene that is in front, they are going to play their scene. And I'm going to keep calling switch, and we're going to keep having a different scene in front. They're going to keep coming back to it. It's going to go a little faster and get a little crazier. You two are doing a science project the night before it is due. Switch. The two of you are training in a busy fast food restaurant. Switch. You two are at pickleball practice. Switch. And you two are building a house. Switch and start.
So I kind of just bought a board for this. And I should probably tell you it's due tomorrow.
I'm going to tell you this. It's going to blow your mind. I have markers.
You have markers?
I have markers.
Oh, thank you. I just needed markers, you know. There's so many colors I can use for this, you know. Well, my experience is actually on how many color changes I can
Switch.
do.
Okay, so your first day of fast days, you're gonna learn stuff really doesn't just stop here. Mark, who has the fries? So, burgers. Okay, you're on the first burger station. Someone get the fries. So you get the buns first, right? And the meat's over there. I think Tony has some meat. I don't know. You have the buns here. First thing, mayo, right? And then you have meat. Where are the burgers? So, then you put the cheese on the
Switch.
meat.
Hey coach, I'm ready for pickleball
Good,
practice.
good. You know, it's been a tough season this year. We've only had about 3 signups and I'm 2 of them. So, you know, I'm really excited that I finally have someone to actually practice with. So first things first, where's your racket?
So the thing is, this may or may not be my first time playing pickleball.
Switch.
So
Oh, I just love building houses. Something so nice about the warm summer sun, all this wood that we got built.
how many stories is it gonna be?
Well, I was told it was like 5. Okay. So we got the bigger wood planks and the smaller wood planks and the medium-sized wood planks. Where do we start?
Switch.
So I was wondering, like, see, if I changed it to green and then I put blue in it, what color would that change it to, right?
Green.
Green? Okay.
Switch.
So your first burger is the hardest burger. That's the first 2 burgers are the hardest burgers, okay? And those are the first ones that the customer sees and they go, wow, this guy's really good. You really see that height. You
Switch.
need to,
So I grabbed the first thing I found. I hope a baseball bat works.
I'll take what I can get.
Cool,
So
cool,
you
cool.
gotta take up your stance a couple feet further. Okay.
Switch.
Okay, so we're starting with the medium. Okay. Help me lift it.
I'm not missing
Switch.
Okay, mix it. Are you writing this down? Oh, are you writing this down? Right. I need this for tomorrow. Okay.
Switch.
Someone needs to drop nuggets. Do something with that.
Where's the mayo?
What are you
Switch.
doing?
This guy? This guy? Oh.
Switch.
Is it okay if I lift with my ankles?
Switch.
Okay. Why is it rumbling? Why is it
Switch.
rumbling?
There's no tomato on these burgers, man.
I'm so good at this.
Switch.
Ah.
We got it.
All right. Good job. And for the next game we have for you is a game called Late to Class. So, very school-related game. So, we're gonna have Delaney, Aurora, Matthew, and Annalicia on stage. Annalicia is gonna go right outside. Annalicia is gonna be late to class. Aurora here is the teacher of the class, and we have 2 students. All right. What we need to do right now as a group is come up with a reason why Annalicia was late to class. So why was Annalicia late to class? Okay, so she was on her way to school. She stopped at McDonald's and she got a flat tire. Going to McDonald's, she got a flat tire. went to the McDonald's drive-thru. She got a flat tire. So she walked next door to Burger King, left her car in the drive-thru of McDonald's, went to Burger King, got a Whopper, came out, decided it was good, and she was just going to walk to school 10 miles. And she came to school. All right. What was one of your favorite subjects in school? Math. Which I'm sure is Aurora's favorite subject. So, Aurora, math.
All right, students, open your. I'm here. Please tell me I'm not late. I swear the bell just rang. I mean, a couple seconds is a couple seconds. Promise, I have a good excuse, okay? Okay? So, I was driving to school, right? And then my tire, it went flat. And so I saw a sign that no eating in class.
Just trying to explain the math.
Yeah. We can learn better with food.
Less movement and more homework to it.
Yeah, guys. So, I got a flat tire. And I was driving again. I mean, I wasn't because, I had a flat tire. So, I was walking and I walked to this person who helped me out with my hunger problems. So they gave me a burger to eat. It was from Burger King. Yeah, it was really good. So anyways, I am walking away from this person and they're counting with their fingers.
Yeah.
I'm not very good at math. So, as I was saying, I was walking 10 miles back to here.
So if you want to see these games and more, we have about 20 to 30-ish people in the improv club. This is just a small sampling of it. If you want to see these games and more, our first show of the year, so we have a whole show where we do games like this, kind of cruise line and debating way style. And our first show is September 29th at 6 o'clock out of Sabino. All our shows are free. We do 5 throughout the course of the year, plus a bunch of other stuff that we do, like we go to middle schools and as Dr. Shakil said, we perform at like TUSD yourself. Thank you guys.
All right. Well, let's hear it one more time for Mr. Kissel and the Sabercat improv team. TUSD community, members of the governing board, welcome to our first meeting in September. And as always, it is my pleasure to present the student and staff excellence that we have the privilege of seeing each and every day here in the district with tonight's superintendent's report. Let us begin with a big congratulations for TUSD Food Services. For the fourth year in a row, TUSD Food Services won the 2023 ADE Farm to Summer Challenge Gold Award for serving a fully local meal and educating students on nutrition at Tully Elementary. Special thanks to our local produce purveyors, Blue Sky Farms, Pinnacle Farms, Ramona Farms, and Bonita Bean Company, Larry's Veggies, and Pivot Produce. Congratulations again, Food Services. Our next recognition this evening comes from the Association of School Business Officials International, known as ASBO. They've awarded the Tucson Unified School District the Certificate of Excellence in Financial Reporting. ASBO's international COE recognizes districts that have met the program's high standards for financial reporting and transparency. The school district earned the Certificate of Excellence for its annual comprehensive financial report, otherwise known as the AFCR, for the fiscal year ending 2022. Applicants submit their annual comprehensive financial reports for review by a team of financial professionals who provide feedback to improve future reporting. If the report meets the minimum requirements of the program, it may receive the Certificate of Excellence. The district's participation in the COE program can facilitate bond rating and continued bond disclosure processes. Congratulations to TUSD's finance team for this wonderful recognition from the Association of School Business Officials International. And I want to thank the administration and the students, the staff at Dietz for such a wonderful visit. Last week, I had the pleasure of recognizing fifth grade teacher Jessica Shoup, who is a dynamo, not only serves on the site council, but also is the school's teacher technology liaison, and gave me some really, really good feedback regarding some of the conditions there, regarding facilities at Dietz, and some of our needs to better support the teachers and staff there at Dietz. I also had the pleasure of congratulating Student Body President Alicea Jimenez Varela for her leadership there at Dietz. She plans to go into culinary arts at Santa Rita High School and earn her culinary arts certificate and become a chef. Such vision, such inspiration from such a young leader. Had a wonderful visit. And the big feedback from the student focus groups is that they love the chicken nuggets on the menu and to add more days of Domino's Pizza. Can't say that I can do the latter, but I can certainly do the former. So I want to thank Dietz for an absolutely wonderful visit. Heading down the road to Ford, I also want to thank the Ford community for an absolutely wonderful opportunity to spend a couple of hours there meeting with the students and the staff. Had a wonderful visit with Principal Johnston and had a great opportunity there to tour the facilities, visit classrooms, and to recognize student Melissa Navarro for perfect attendance. And a cool story about Melissa, she was so concerned about her attendance, she actually had a medical appointment that morning and actually fought with her mom to come to school, not stay home. And mom actually brought her to school. So we are very, very proud of Melissa and for her attendance turnaround and for perfect attendance this year. We want to recognize September 8th as World Physical Therapy Day. The day marks the unity and solidarity of the global physical therapy community. It's an opportunity to recognize the work that physical therapists do for their patients and community. In Tucson Unified, our school-based therapists help students with disabilities overcome their physical challenges to achieve their educational goals. Helping such students thrive in a mainstream educational environment helps them learn and socialize at the same pace as their peers. So all of our occupational therapists and our physical therapists working hard in our schools, September 8th, that's for you. Thank you for everything that you do for our students. And on September 19th, I want to take the liberty to preview what we'll see a little bit later on in the agenda. But September 19th is National Instructional Technology Professionals Day, known as IT. This special day was created over 20 years ago as a way of honoring the hardworking professionals who work tirelessly to keep our systems running. Tucson Unified is thankful for the staff who have dedicated their lives to supporting the district in this vital area, instructional technology, as well as our instructional technology infrastructure. We encourage you to show your appreciation for the IT professionals in your school department. There are many more members of our TS team than photographed here, and we're grateful to each and every staff member for their efforts each and every day to keep our students connected and online and to keep our networks and our data safe. And many thanks to them for those efforts. And tonight, I am excited. I have the opportunity to present some awards for the Superintendent's Service Award. And I want to start with the team that worked together to support Morgan Maxwell. So I have some awards. We want to express our appreciation first for our outside vendor, TDI Industries, for their support of Morgan Maxwell, partnering with our techs for exceptional service, working after hours, working through the weekend, Saturday and Sunday and into Monday, to make sure that we could get Morgan Maxwell up and running and ready for school. We are so thankful for their efforts. So I want to thank right now, on behalf of TDI Industries, we have with us Jack Metter, the account manager, as well as Jake Hunter, senior manager for operations. I know as management in the private sector, you don't always get the ground view of just how much your work touches children. Tonight, you do. Thanks to that effort, school got open, and it was a great opening there at Morgan Maxwell for 300 parents and students, and it was a wonderful first day of school thanks to your efforts. We have some plaques for you. I'm going to ask, we have them? That I'd like to have both of you come on up and accept. Thank you very much. Thank you. On site at Morgan Maxwell as well was one of our own TUSD HVAC techs who also contributed to the efforts and was at the center of the efforts to try to get the school's HVAC system up and running, worked in collaboration with our techs from TDI Industries. I want to welcome, and first of all, here this evening, he is here in attendance, and I want to recognize his exceptional service, also working after hours and through the weekend, our very own TUSD HVAC tech. I want to get the name right. It's Matthew Baldroin, if you want to come on up. This is for our appreciation for your service to the Morgan Maxwell community. Thank you again for all you do. And I bet you've probably had 50 other calls since Morgan Maxwell to keep all of our systems up and running. So thank you again.
Thank you.
And as that ends our recognition portion of the evening, we have a couple of informational items that we want to highlight this evening for the public and, of course, our governing board. And first, I'm proud to welcome Dr. Brown, who's under her leadership, the EDI division has launched a new program to address housing insecurity in support of our families and our students, and a new program that will keep them connected to school when times get tough. Dr. Brown, welcome.
Thank you. I feel like I wanted to karaoke for Governing Board Member Romero, but I'm not going to do that tonight, sir. I don't want anybody to lose their cool. Thank you. All right.
Our next meeting right
Next board meeting, you can catch me. So, governing board members, Dr. Trujillo, council, you know, Tucson is our community, and it's just that simple. And even though that we may have times where we disagree, We all collectively want what's best for this beautiful city, each and every one of us. And so with that being said, one of the things that we all can attest to in this room is that recently our city has experienced an increased number of individuals who are unhoused, unsheltered, maybe have inadequate facilities or inadequate housing. And to that, we needed to do a response because those things impact our children as well. And with that, we have our TUSD Emergency Housing Support Program, and it's simple. TUSD cares for our students and their families, whether it's day or night. I'm not going to spend a lot of time, but I really want to ground us in our area of focus. Again, since COVID, our city has seen a sharp increase. I don't have to tell you all this if you have the opportunities to travel down golf links, if you're on 6th Avenue in South Tucson, if you are on Fort Lowell. Our community is seeing a 60.3% increase since COVID in the number of individuals and families that are unsheltered, facing homelessness, or do not have adequate housing. Homelessness impacts us all. I'm gonna say that again. Homelessness impacts us all. More so, it impacts our students' educational experience in a variety of ways, from psychological trauma to experiencing high levels of mobility. It impacts the ability to focus. They also have increased likelihood of experiencing bullying and higher chances of simply falling behind academically. So our emergency housing support program is designed to provide temporary assistance to currently enrolled TUSD families at risk for homelessness due to any mitigating circumstance. An example of that could be job loss, it could be eviction, it could be an act of nature or inadequate housing. Please keep in mind, community, board members, that this program is designed to serve as an immediate stopgap. We cannot solve the housing crisis. However, we can certainly be here for our students and our families when they need us in their time of need. So I want to talk to you a little bit about our approach, and it was a very interdisciplinary approach. This took the manpower of all of us. You'll see our community engagement, our communications team, our family and community engagement team, our finance team, technology services, school safety, equity, diversity, and inclusiveness team. We've also partnered with the Tucson Police Department. We've also partnered with community-based organizations. I just had the opportunity to meet with Pima County Housing this week. I'm gonna go over the roles and responsibilities so that we're all grounded in who does what in this program. So first up is our HEART team. Our HEART team serves as our program lead. So they've developed the internal applications, which is filled out through our dispatch team. They secure placement with our emergency housing support program providers. They assist families with referrals to community agencies that provide long-term housing support. When needed, they distribute hotspots, technology. They also provide resources, food certificates, clothing, and gas cards. Up next is our FACE team. Our FACE team secured the EHS provider partnership, so they were literally across Tucson. One of the things about our partnerships is that it was important to us to partner with both local businesses and our chain hotels as well. They also have created a database of approved EHS provider partners. Our communications team, they're handling all aspects of creating an awareness. And when we say awareness, we really want our students, our families, our school sites, support staff, and all of our champions for TUSD to know that this is a program that's available for our currently enrolled families. Our EDI team, we help and we walk this hand in hand with finance. We process the monthly invoices. We oversee the program. We've developed the appropriate budget lines to make sure that we are able to support this program. Our finance team is monitoring our grant activity, very supportive when we came up with the vision to help us get it passed at ADE. They've also helped us develop the appropriate budget lines to support it as well. Our technology services department, they are providing our family hotspots, making sure that they still stay connected, because as part of this program, we do not cover incidentals because the grant doesn't really allow that. And our wonderful school safety team, these are the people that are on the front line. They are taking the call at dispatch 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. They are making sure that they reach out to the HEART program person who is on call. And we are working collectively to get our families in a safe environment within an hour and a half. The program participation, again, this is for currently enrolled TUSD families, our newly enrolled McKinney-Vento eligible families, and this is also inclusive of our TUSD employees with currently enrolled students. Please do not make the assumption that somehow being unhoused or homeless or, having inadequate housing is for a certain type of people. We are seeing many of our employees have that intersection as well, and we are here for them too. So I want to talk to you a little bit about the program structure. This mic is bothering me. I'm sorry, Rob. Don't give me the look. But the program structure, it's a 3-day maximum. So it's 4 days and 3 night maximum. The application form is only submitted through our dispatch team. And so it's just as simple as that family member, a person, anyone can call the dispatch and they engage the system. Our team is committed and have the directive to respond within an hour. After we get that family settled, when we look at, the next day, we will screen them for additional services through our McKinney-Vento program, giving them access to, again, clothing, food, any other resources that we have that we're able to give. Every effort will be made for placements to be proximal to the school of attendance. We do have gas cards that are available to provide support transportation needs. Now, in transparency, I want everyone to know that there is a gap. So when we look at south of I-10, there are not a lot of hotels that are available that we could partner with. And so what we've been using is partnering right on I-10 and closer to our east and our west sides. Families will be provided a hotspot, again, if they need access to the technology, and families are eligible 1 time per academic year. We have been able to fund this program through our ARP2 grant, and emergency housing support is an allowable activity under allowable expenses. How are we going to measure the effectiveness of this program? First and foremost, we're going to look at the engagement activity. How many of our families have participated in the program? But we're also going to look at it through monitoring the attendance at the current school and be able to look and see if there are high levels of mobility. Our monitoring and assessment will be overseen by myself and done through our McKinney-Vento program. Here is a light timeline of what the community can expect and also what you can expect of us. In August, I developed the grant and made sure that we had approval through our senior leadership team. We also began after that securing EHS provider partnerships, and I'll talk a little bit about what partners we have here in just a second. We also engaged a marketing awareness plan. October, December, January, and April, we will progress monitor the engagement activity. How many families are using the programs, and what geographical locations of our district, additional resources that we have been able to provide. And at the end of the year in June, we will review our data from this year. So if you're wondering, when we talk about partnerships at this point, we have established locally a partnership with the Viscount. They have utilized about 5 families to date. We've also had a partnership with the Clifton Hotel. And we also just about 35 minutes ago, heard back from the chain hotels of Best Western Properties. and we will be finalizing La Quintas properties as well. And that will give us access to all of the hotels within their group. So at this time, I'll take questions.
Ms. Luna Rose.
Thank you. Hi, Ms. Brown. Thank you so much for your presentation. Quick, I think this is beautiful. Thank
you.
Thank you for thinking out of the box. But my question, just so people don't understand perhaps what McKinney-Vento means, if that.
So under the McKinney-Vento Act, what that does is that ensure rights and responsibilities for families that may be experiencing homeless. More importantly, that act is designed to provide a continuity of educational services and to prevent barriers that would stop from families that would be experiencing being unsheltered or homelessness from attending school.
Okay.
Ms. Shaw.
Thank you, and thank you, Dr. Brown, for your presentation and your work on this. It's critical. As you said, our community is experiencing a huge rise in homelessness. And from my talks with Dr. Trujillo, so is our TUSD community. Could you speak to the fact that there was a dramatic rise in McKinney-Vento students?
Yes, there has been. And so what I did was I looked from the data from last year, from July 1st to July 24th. To now, we've experienced almost double the number of families that we have that are McKinney-Vento eligible. Right now, we're sitting right around 1,800. And again, things that we should be concerned about as a community is, October 15th, TEP has raised rates, and that can impact families. And if they have inadequate facilities, they are entitled to receive these McKinney-Vento services as well as in some of our housing communities and apartment communities, a requirement is that electrical services be on as part of the lease. So,
yeah, thank you for mentioning that, because it's not just you're out on the streets. It's if you don't have your utilities on it, you do qualify. And so, how many academic years do you suppose this grant funding will last?
So, academic, this will get us in this academic year, and the beginning of next year. However, under Dr. Trujillo's leadership and support, we are looking at how we are currently structuring our McKinney-Vento program to be able to support our families, and we're preparing for the what's next. And those October, December, January, and April will really allow us to set up forecasts. This is our baseline year, but to see how many families may be in need of this service.
Great. And then my final question is, if there is indeed families that need this resource now, do you have a number, or is there a link set up or a flyer that we can?
So we don't have a flyer, but it is through our school dispatch. So any member of our staff, any family can call the TUSD dispatch number, and then within that hour, we will have them placed.
Okay.
Dr. Brown, what is that number?
That would be great.
Can we find that out before this is finished? And we're live right now in terms of accepting families into this program?
Absolutely. We've helped 5 families to date.
5 families just today?
2 today.
Yeah.
5 to date.
To date.
Since we've launched it.
That's a lot.
Mm-hmm. Yes, sir.
I think, we all talk about being proud of our district, and we have a number.
I have the dispatch number.
Okay.
It is 520-584-7676.
So 584-7676.
Yes,
so if
sir.
anybody out there listening is experiencing housing insecurity themselves, or know of a TUSD family experiencing housing insecurity, homelessness, or anything in that realm, please call 584-7676 and get some help. And again, I was saying we all are proud about being TUSD, and 1,800 out of 40,000, that's, 4 to 5% of our students experiencing housing insecurity or homelessness. And that's a significant portion. And one thing that I think we're all really proud of is that TUSD is here for every family, regardless of their background, regardless of where they come from, regardless of their situation. And I'm so glad that we are putting together this program to help the least fortunate in our community and in our TUSD families.
Thank you.
And thank you for presenting on this program. Great. Thank you.
And next, we're going to hear from our Assistant Superintendent for Curriculum and Instruction, Dr. Flory Hewitt, as well as our Senior Director for Curriculum and Professional Development, Heidi Aranda. The Tucson Unified School District is one of the only school districts in Southern Arizona and around the state to actually have an in-house teacher certification program. Just launched this year, the Teacher Development Academy. And in our program, you can come right in with your bachelor's degree, and we will provide you the coursework necessary to become a fully certified teacher while putting you in a classroom and having you teach under the leadership and the mentorship of a mentor teacher. So this is a program that is unique in all of Pima County, and here to kind of take us into an update is Dr. Hewitt.
Good evening, Governing Board members, President Schock, Clerk Romero, and Dr. Trujillo and Legal Counsel. We are very excited to present our Teacher Development Academy program. I would like to invite our team for Curriculum and Professional Development, Heidi Aranda and Alicia Norris, who are actually on the ground doing this work with our new teachers. So if you can come and talk to us about the program.
Good evening. So the Teacher Development Academy was developed by Curriculum and Instruction in response to a request from Dr. Trujillo to create our very own TUSD teacher preparation program to address really the needs of teacher shortages in TUSD. The purpose was to design and develop a teacher preparation program that offers an alternative pathway to teacher certification, one that embraces TUSD's priorities and initiatives, and increases the district's appeal for advancement opportunities. The participants enroll in a 2-year program and commit to 4 years in TUSD. They receive a K-8 teaching certificate with an SEI and reading endorsement upon completion and successful passing of certification exams. While participants are in the program, they earn a regular teacher salary and receive additional pay for institutes and learning cycles above and beyond their regular teaching schedule. The Academy is also free of charge to participants. We first began developing this program in September of 2022 when we started our research into the application process. By November, we had submitted our application, which was subsequently approved by the State Board of Education in February of 2023. In March, we initiated the course development, marking a significant milestone for our department and program. In April, we brought on board a program manager who would play a significant role in overseeing the program's development and operations. Our marketing efforts also officially started in May, while we simultaneously opened our application process. During a brief 3-week window, we received a remarkable total of 53 applications. After careful consideration, we selected 28 exceptional candidates. In June, we conducted our inaugural meeting and also hosted a school placement fair with principals and our candidates. This event aimed to match our selected candidates with open teaching positions, further solidifying our commitment to this program's success. Our first cohort of 23 individuals started on their initial teaching courses, which began with a 10-day Institute of Learning conducted by TUSD department leads. At this time, I will turn it over to our wonderful program manager, Alicia Norris, to share more about the program.
Thank you, and good evening, President Shaw and board members. In our 2-year program, each year begins with foundational skills, utilizing a 10-day institute at the beginning of the year in July, and a 4-day institute at the end of the year in May. During the school year, participants engage in an extended professional learning day, complemented by 2 learning cycles per month, specifically designed for practical classroom application where participants return with tangible artifacts, strategies, and evidence for discussion and application for their own classrooms. Additionally, participants have the flexibility to attend optional sessions tailored to their current areas of interest. Our curriculum and instruction departments have meticulously developed coursework for our participants, undergoing an extensive planning process known as storyboarding to ensure the course's effectiveness. The image that you see here showcases the remarkable work of our PD team in creating a series of 14 units dedicated to facilitating high-quality Tier 1 instruction, closely aligned with TUSD's instructional framework. In addition to this, our participants engage in a diverse range of courses covering crucial areas such as classroom management, academic standards, social-emotional learning, AVID, culturally responsive instruction, multicultural education, assessment, child development, and technology integration, all designed to enrich their professional growth and enhance their abilities in their classroom for immediate implementation. The inaugural 10-day institute served as a crucial foundation building experience, equipping our participants with essential content as they began the school year. We recognize that for new teachers, a strong start begins with robust classroom management, a well-structured curriculum, and effective instructional strategies to engage their students. Our curriculum and professional development departments invested significant effort into crafting tailored coursework and support programs. These resources are designed to empower our participants as they begin their careers within TUSD, providing them with an array of tools, support systems, and resources essential for guiding their students towards a path of academic success. Throughout our 10-day institute, we had the pleasure of inducting 23 teachers, each from 20 different schools, spanning all 5 regions. These educators underwent a deep immersion into the world of learning, engaging in hands-on experiences that allowed them to grasp the essence of quality teaching and learning, not just in theory, but in the tangible aspects of how it looks, feels, and sounds. Over the course of this immersive program, they formed a close-knit community of practice, fostering connections, mutual understanding, and support as they embark on their individual journeys towards becoming accomplished teachers. As the school year has launched, our participants are now actively engaged in learning cycles and professional learning days. This image provides a snapshot of a typical learning cycle and professional development day. Our teachers jumped in headfirst and are taking teaching in stride. They had a successful first day of school and continue advancing in their skills every day. For new teachers in a preparation program, having a well-rounded support system is essential. Our participants benefit from multiple layers of support dedicated to their growth as educators. They receive guidance from me their teacher mentor, as well as valuable support from our curriculum and professional department staff.
So as we look to the future, we will continue with their essential courses developed by our own staff, and this year as well as next year, as this is a 2-year program. And they'll receive special training for their SEI and reading endorsements. We have generated quite an interest in this program and know that we have a lot of potential candidates for future cohorts. We are planning on completing this cohort fully and before adding another cohort. And we just want to thank you for your support in the inaugural year of this exciting program. We invite you to come to any of our learning cycles or professional learning sessions at Howenstein. And with that, that concludes the information, and we're open to any questions you might have.
Thank you for the presentation. How many teachers are enrolled right now?
23.
23. And what do you think the capacity can go up to?
So we could eventually manage multiple cohorts and even expand into special certifications in the future, like special education or secondary courses as well. For now, we're trying to, see this first cohort through before expanding too quickly.
Great. Thank you. Ms. Shaw.
Thank you, and thank you for the presentation. This is really exciting. So I have a couple of questions. I see that it's a 2-year program, you stated, and then is it after the 2 years are finished that they start their 4-year contract in our district, or is that like beginning with the first year of that 2-year program?
Yeah, so the 4 years are their 2 years in the program and then 2 additional years that they are committed to teaching in our district.
Okay. And I see that it's like just K-8 teaching certificate. Is that for a reason that like we're not, if anyone's interested in teaching high school, are we able to offer them?
For us, it was the most secure way to launch a new program like this, as there's a lot of different things we'd have to manage with secondary programs.
Right.
So it was the most secure start.
Understood.
But we will eventually, like I said, expand into exceptional education. We know that there's a huge need in that area, and then secondary.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Ms. Luna Rose.
I just wanted to thank you for, again, another program that's thinking out of the box and seeing how our future can grow with the district. So thank you so much, ladies, for everything that you're doing.
Thank you. It is a very exciting program.
It is, and I think one great thing about TUSD being as large as it is and having the ability to really innovate and find new programs and experiment, and hopefully this is extremely successful and we get some great teachers into our classrooms, and hopefully this can continue for the next 2 years really successfully.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Members of the governing board, that concludes the superintendent's report.
Great. Thank you, Dr. Trujillo. I really appreciate just kind of getting all this great information during the superintendent's report about what we're really proud of as a district and some of the great programs that we have available for our students, staff, and our community. I'm going to turn it over to our board clerk, Mr. Romero, to lead us for the call to the audience.
Check, check. Okay, there we go. Strike 2, strike 3. Public participation at board meetings. Members of the public may speak during the call to the audience. The governing board clerk shall be responsible for recognizing speakers and for maintaining order where it may be appropriate. Those who speak in person or want to have their comments read shall email or call the board office to complete a request to address the board form before the meeting. Speakers who have not completed a request are not permitted to address the board. The speaker must state their full name and topic prior to addressing the board. Speakers are encouraged to be brief with a maximum time of 3 minutes. While more than one speaker may speak together in the time allowed, speakers are reminded that they are not allowed to speak more than once, and they may not transfer or delegate their times to others. If there are documents for the board, please give them to board office staff, and they will ensure each board member receives a copy. Those attending the meeting and are speaking before the board shall observe rules of good conduct. Speakers shall also refrain from inappropriate or slanderous remarks. And because TUSD serves students from preschool through high school, speakers should be aware that there may be children present and listening. At the end of the call to the audience, the governing board president will ask if any board member wishes to respond to criticisms, wish to ask staff to review a matter, or wish to ask that a matter be put on a future agenda. No more than 2 members may address each topic. Contents of this card are public information. Our first call to the audience, Ken Richings, followed by Henry Schneiker.
Hey, good evening. My name is Ken Richings, former school teacher, and thank you all again for all the work that you all do. Very sincerely, all of you. Superintendent, no, I'm not supposed to talk to superintendent, but I would speak to him through you. I am talking about, on the form that I filled out, I said 6.1 Proclamation Day, and I was starting to take some offense at all the days of proclamation, which I have a pet peeve against because there's so many days to proclaim about so much stuff that we tend to get diluted with every day. You know, we have double bacon double cheeseburger day and Super Bowl day and all this. But then I realized just now that this is specifically in honor of specific roles or positions within TUSD. So I'm going to preemptively rescind my anger, if you will, and just implore you gently as an American that the day that I would love to have proclaimed would be a day that's already been proclaimed in this country since 2005, and that is the U.S. Constitution Day. The Constitution started in 1787, September, the first 10 amendments, 1789. Took a while, to great story. And as I've said here in front of you before, this is the thing that really makes America unique. It's this little piece of paper with some rules about how the justice and politics of this country is going to be what it's going to look like, and leaving up to the states all the peculiarities of how we do it in each state. So I wrote you an email, and attached to that email is this piece of paper. And I tried to just come up with something that would be as benign and unbiased as possible, that maybe could at least be read by school teachers. I know that there was a speaker here a month or two ago that said it was an Arizona law that schools had to teach this. I couldn't find that law. And to be frank, I don't care if there is a law. I think it should just be done. And if it's not done, that's fine. But really, it should be done. So I'll just start reading this sample statement that's probably longer than 42 seconds long. So feel free, Mr. Romero, to cut me off. On September 17th, 1787, delegates to the Constitution. So this is something that could be read maybe over a PA system at the very least, or by a teacher in a classroom. Delegates to the Constitution Convention in Philadelphia signed the U.S. Constitution, a written charter for a new and enduring federal government. The famous preamble, which I won't say right now and it breaks my heart, but the next paragraph. With these words, the delegates convened at Philadelphia, developed a framework that would provide balance and freedom, consider federal and state interests, and guarantee individual human rights. Constitution Day, established by the U.S. Congress in 2005, is an opportunity for all of us without tribal affiliations to reflect on the foundations of our legal and justice systems.
Time.
Thank you very much. I'm going to give you a hard copy of this, but I emailed all of you as well.
So Henry Schneiker, followed by Pilar Ruiz.
Board members, my name is Henry Schneiker. My son attends Doolin Middle School. When I went to junior high school, students were assigned lockers as part of the registration process. You were given a locker number and a combination to open your locker. The locker was used to store books, notebooks, other school supplies between classes and overnight. If you brought a lunch, you kept your lunch in the locker until lunchtime. During the winter season, you kept your coat and gloves and other warm things in the locker while you were attending class. The hallways at Doolin Middle School are lined with lockers, hundreds of lockers. But my son was not assigned a locker, nor apparently was anybody else. Instead of being assigned a locker, students are required to carry around all of their books, supplies, lunch, computers, coats, and whatever else throughout the entire day. And then they are expected to haul that stuff home every night and haul it all back the following day. Natalie Santine is the principal of Doolin Middle School. I asked Natalie and requested that she provide my son access to a locker. She said no. So I am now requesting the TUSD board to remedy the situation so that my son may use a locker out of the hundreds of lockers that are available and assign one so he doesn't have to carry all that junk around all day long. All right, thank you.
Pilar Ruiz.
Good evening. My name is Pilar Ruiz. So I just found it, the first thing I want to say is yesterday was September 11th. Nobody acknowledged that. I hope that after a call to the audience, you guys can take a moment of silence for all the people that lost their lives, as well as all the first responders who lost their lives and showed up to save lives. Yeah. Okay. I also want to speak against 5.6. Many of you went last year. I did notice there's also an online access availability, and all the time we should be fiscally responsible and fiscally conservative, especially in the time of a bond election. So I would encourage you to vote no for 5.6. If you do vote yes, I suppose that you could at least be willing to look for a hotel that's less than $299 a night. There's got to be one down the road. Take the bus, walk, Uber, something. It just doesn't seem like a wise use of our taxpayer dollars. Also, I noticed at Lineweaver there are fences being built higher than, like you guys are building the tall fences. I'm just curious if schools on the south side are also having fences built. I'd love to know what the timeline is for like Catalina, Palo Verde, Cholla to have cameras while we're building fences at a school. Appearances and perceptions are very important in a time of a bond. And a lot of your kids go to school at Lineweaver, so you got to think about these things. I hope some schools in other areas are having the same progress, because it doesn't look good. Also, community involvement is really important. There's many people in this community who have great skills that they can bring to this board for free, or not to the board, well, to the board also, but to the board as well as board committees. There's a lot of people who volunteered their time and have not been given access to volunteer their time. I think that's kind of sad. I will, again, some of you know I volunteered for one position. I will also volunteer my time for the Addiction Reduction Task Force. Also, my sister's an attorney, and she stood at this podium years ago and volunteered to work on the code of conduct. She didn't get a call back either. I mean, it just seems to be a pattern, so we want to build community involvement, show that we're working with the community. That will go a long ways in helping those of us who are on the fence, to help promote stuff. And also, lastly, I think it's a great program, what Dr. Brown talked about. I just wonder if the TUSD board should be advocating to the city and the county to do a better job with homelessness, because I feel like that's their job. So they need to do better. So we need to ask them to help you guys. Thanks.
Yolanda, it looks like we have two that are to be read, please. Thank you.
This is from Virginia Bageshi. The agenda item regarding the school board conference in April of 2024, you should vote to attend online. If we can save any money, that is what we should be doing. Traveling is unnecessary, especially at the cost of taxpayers. My thoughts are, if you want to travel to attend in person, then you should pay out of your pocket. The board is constantly trying to obtain money for the district, and here you are wanting to spend on something that can be done online. 3 of the board members said it was okay for our kids to learn online. This is no different. Regarding the student survey that was open to public comments in August, it looks to me as if you are misleading parents. Parents need to know these surveys are opt-in, not opt-out, as it looked in the public comment period. I will attach the Arizona law regarding student surveys. Thank you, Virginia Bageshi. This is from Guadalupe Henninger. Good evening, Superintendent Dr. Trujillo, board members, legal counsel, and everybody on TUSD. We parents are concerned on the effect social media has on the students and society in general. The lies, hate, division, disinformation, and the way propaganda has been weaponized by special interest groups and some elected officials have polarized our society and affected relationships and impacted the mental health and breakup of families. The lies, hate, and division on social media is on the rise and only get worse with artificial intelligence. Social media needs to get better in detecting misinformation. They have huge gaps in detecting and enforcing it. There was a time when social media was diverse and dynamic. It can be that if social media CEOs use good ethics and integrity in their creations of algorithm and L. Please vote yes on item 6.4. It's good for our members and our district. Call the U.S. House and U.S. Senate and tell to vote for nutrition, clean air, clean water, nutrition, health care, and education. Investing on these things is good for our economy. Guadalupe Henninger.
And this concludes our call to the audience.
Thank you, Mr. Romero. And this is an opportunity for board members to respond to criticism, wish to ask staff to review a matter, or wish to ask that a matter be put on the future agenda. No more than 2 members may address each topic. Mr. Romero, then Ms. Shaw.
So thank you for bringing up, again, the remembrance of September 11th, which impacted all of us forever. And that is a great recommendation. Dr. Shaw, I don't know if we could do something like that, just throwing that out there. Quick question, and I guess this is going to be directed to Dr. Trujillo. Doing all my school visits here, and I do see the lockers aren't used. Is that something that changed with policy, or what's the locker situation?
Follow up with you throughout my time in the district. The lockers have been out of use. So, yeah, I will have to get additional information as to when that decision was actually made. But it's been at least 7 years, probably even more. But we'll get you that information.
Awesome. Thank you.
Ms. Shaw.
Thank you. And thank you, everyone who spoke today. First, I'd like to, in regards to Mr. Riching's call, to put on a future agenda the U.S. Constitution Day. You know, I think the Constitution is an important document, and everyone who's in our country, whether you're a citizen or not, is afforded the rights specified in the Constitution. So knowledge is power. So let's teach our kids, what rights they have. Let's see. I believe Mr. Schneider or Mr. Schweiker. Excuse me, I didn't see how your name was pronounced. But in regards to the lockers, I agree. My daughter is very upset that she won't have access to lockers when she moves on to middle school, and I think it's almost like a rite of passage. Students feel like they have that new responsibility, and yeah, they're carrying a bunch of books, computers, and we hear from teachers that often, they'll forget their charger, they'll forget their computer, forget a book, and to have them just keep it in the lockers if they don't need to take it home makes sense to me. And I've heard the argument about why we stopped using our lockers, and I'm sure they're valid, but I wonder if we can look into some sort of merit-based system. You get a locker if you get good grades or what have you. So I'd like to add that to a future agenda, is exploring using our lockers in our middle schools and high schools once again. And as far as Ms. Ruiz, I haven't noticed any higher fences at Line Weaver, but I'm sure it could be happening. So if we could get a security update about our improvements that we have planned, so the public knows where we are at and the timeline, and we could, I know we have some schools on different sides of towns who have been asking for too long for cameras and other things like higher fences, and so I'd like if we can have an update at a future meeting on those improvements. And as far as Miss Virginia's letter, I will be voting against that specific item for the travel. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Shaw. One thing I will say is that, we're not going to go into every litany of things. I know Warren Elementary School in the southwest part of TUSD is getting an 8-foot fence put up as we speak. And so there is schools around the district that are also getting different things, and we know that a lot more would if the bond passes this fall. Any other comments from the governing board members? Okay, great, thank you. I understand that we moved 6.2 to follow the call to the audience. Dr. Trujillo.
Yes, President Shaw. Yes, President Shaw. Members of the board. At this point, I would like to welcome our principal from Robeson Elementary, Mrs. Blair Lone, to the podium. She is going to introduce an amazing employee and campus leader who, through 4 decades of service, has really impacted the Robeson community, and they seek to honor her here this evening. And I see we also have our regional assistant superintendent, Mr. Richard Sanchez, here as well.
Good evening, Dr. Trio, Governing Board President Shaw, and board members. Thank you for your consideration in naming the Robeson Library for a longtime TUSD employee of 47 years, Ms. Margaret Gallego. I am joined by school principal Sean Blair Lone, as well as some faculty and staff, to join in our thanks and our recognition to Ms. Gallego for her ongoing service to the community and students. I will have Ms. Blair Lone share more about Ms. Gallego.
Whoops, I'll just hold it. President Shaw and Governing Board and Dr. Trujillo, it is with great honor that I and the Robeson community, which we have several staff and family members of Ms. Gallego, we would like to name our library at Robeson Elementary after her, Ms. Margaret Gallego. Ms. Gallego was hired as one of TUSD's youngest teachers and has worked in the district for 47 years. She has been at Robeson Elementary for 42 of those years. Mrs. Gallego is one of the most dedicated teachers I have ever had the pleasure of working with. The students that have been graced with her teaching have come back with their children and speak very highly of her. Mrs. Gallego has sponsored Robeson Student Council for years and has been instrumental in creating community awareness and involvement in areas such as getting the TPD K-9 units protective vests. And she is now working on an Ava's Keys initiative to serve as a reminder to not leave your child in the car. They're expanding that for pets and the elderly as well. Mrs. Gallego is truly one of a kind. She is such a valuable asset to our community, and it would be an honor to be able to recognize her in the community that she loves and has served for over 40 years. We appreciate very much the opportunity to honor Ms. Gallego in this way, so thank you very much for letting us do this.
Great, thank you for being here, Principal Lone. And do we have Ms. Gallego?
She is here, with a lot of family members too, but she is here.
Ms. Gallego. Great, do we have a motion or any other questions, comments? Ms. Ekstrom and Ms. Shaw?
I would motion to approve the naming of Robeson Elementary Library in honor of Margaret Gallego within the Tucson Unified School District.
Right. Motion made by Ms. Ekstrom and seconded by Ms. Shaw. Second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye. Aye.
Any opposed or abstentions? Item passes 5-0. Ms. Gallego, please.
Thank you.
Is there anything you'd like to say, Ms. Gallego? Please, the floor is yours.
It has been an honor for me to be a classroom teacher. I've had opportunities to become a principal, and I've had some superintendents trying to help me out and to become a principal. And with all due respect, I love the classroom, and I just wish I had more life to live it. I love it, and my family knows. I've never had a complaint. I just love being a classroom teacher, and I do want to thank everyone here for. It is a super honor for my family. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for your service.
Dr. Shaw.
Ms. Villarose, go ahead.
Yes. May I make a comment to Ms. Gallego?
Please.
Ms. Gallego, I just wanted to, oh no, you can sit. I just wanted to say, you know, as somebody who went through the district as a child and now has a daughter that's now she's a sophomore now, so she's gone through the district, to have longtime teachers like you is just like, it's key to what we do. And I think I speak for my colleagues that that's why we're here on the dais and made the choice to do this, because we want to honor people like you. So thank you so much for your commitment to our kids, our community, and gosh, your whole family's here. So you should be also proud, and I'm sure you are. And I'm wondering, is it possible to take a photo?
Yeah, that's what I'm going to suggest. You
Okay.
take a quick break, and the photos is a good break time. All right. Yep. Yes.
Yes, if we can have the Gallego family come on up. Photo.
We do a quick break.
Yeah. Tea's room.
This one was up since like 3:30. And I couldn't go back to sleep. Yeah. And then like tomorrow Zoe has to be at choir at like 7:45. So I'm like, you have to go to bed on time. I know.
Wow. Yep, sounds like your life.
I'm going to get us back started here. Such a great story. 47 years of service to our district. That's amazing. Ms. Gallego, thank you. We're going to go back to our consent agenda. We have items 5.2 to 5.11. Dr. Trujillo.
Board members, we present the consent agenda for governing board consideration as arranged, items 5.2 through items 5.11.
Thank you, Dr. Trujillo. We'll pull item 5.6 for further discussion. Any other items that any governing board members like any clarification before we ask for any other items to be pulled? Mr. Romero.
5.5, I just have want to get more information on that, please.
Sure, you want to get the information now?
Yeah.
Sure.
Go ahead.
Yes, governing board member Romero, as we welcome Mr. Ballesteros to the podium, as well as our purchasing director, Dana Kierfoot. This is a school facilities board funded project. This was no cost to the district. I know that we see it's flooring, and flooring is one of the projects we would be doing if the special election is successful. So we've had some concerns about why not hold off and wait for that outcome. But because it is a school facilities board funded project, that's out of our control. It's approved by that board. We have a timeline. We're required to spend the money. But beyond that, if you have any other additional questions on timelines or purchasing procedures, we have our team here.
Perfect. So it's kind of more just construction-wise, because we're talking about like the VCT and then the carpet, things of that nature. And visiting a lot of these schools, you see a lot of the different floorings. I think it was at one of the schools today. I can't remember which one it was, and they had like the little carpet squares on it, and it was black, so everything was showing up on it as far as that goes. But I've seen different things like the new preschools. They have the polished concrete floors that they've done on that one. Going through CE Rose, there was, I think some classrooms were regular tile. Some was like an overlay of concrete on that. I'm just looking at all these little things, and I'm just wondering, is the VCT the most common thing that's in a lot of these schools? Because I think it's the same stuff that's on the floor here, if I'm not mistaken.
That is correct. Dr. Shaw, governing board members, Dr. Trujillo. Yes, the standard is VCT, which is vinyl composition tile, the 8x8s that you see here. The newer versions of those are now coming into like an LVT, which is a luxury vinyl plank, or the carpet squares, as opposed to before you had the large carpet rolls, and they would come in 15 to 10 and 12-foot rolls, and you would install them then. The advantages now of the carpet squares come in 2x2s, so areas that become dirty or beyond repair, it's easily to take out a 2x2 square and put in a new piece.
And then do we normally get extra pieces of those for different schools that have that, or is it so that they match later on? Like a little carpet, you get wear and tear where there's lots of people walking back and forth.
Yeah, in our standard spec, when a contractor bids a project, we're requiring them to carry a 10% contingency. So after the material is installed, whatever is remaining stays at the site.
Okay. And as far as maintenance on these types of floors or the new style LCT, what kind of maintenance is required on that, and how expensive is that over the years? And then what's the life longevity of these types of floors?
So it's a LVT, luxury vinyl tile. That is a fairly newer product. It's been in the industry for a while. The improvements now in comparisons to, say, a VCT are your upfront costs are a little more expensive because the development of the actual tile plank. But when you look at it over the duration on the maintenance cycle, the differences are on your VCT, which is similar to here. You have to strip and polish every year. In your luxury vinyl tiles, that's already built into the tile, so it's just wiping the tile off.
So on this one, it looks like on the quote that we got from one of the organizations that we recommended here, it says VCT. Is that something we can price for the LCT?
Yeah, for LVT, yes, we can.
I'm just wondering if we're going to be spending this money and it's going to be less maintenance and it's going to, I just always looking for different new methods being in the construction industry. If there's a better product out there, if there's a greener product, if it's a, whatever the case may be, I would just like to see if we're spending all this money, is it going to be like just a 10-year lifespan before it starts looking bad, 15, 20, again, because that's a pretty decent price tag on that. So that was my, I guess, from a construction aspect,
Sure.
Wanted to know more about the products just because I see different floors throughout different schools throughout the district.
And there is, and as you mentioned, some of the newer or most recent, the pre-Ks that installed, they really just removed a lot of the VCT, and they wanted polished concrete. Again, that's easy to maintain because you don't need to strip it and then come back and re-wax it. It's pretty much a wipe down, and you're good to go.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Great. Governing board members, any other questions on 5.5? All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Any other items for questions or extractions?
So
All right.
we're on 5.6.
Yeah, so we have before us items 5.3 through 5.5, and then 5.7 through 5.11. I'll move the items for consent.
I'll second.
All right, motion by myself and seconded by Ms. Luna Rose. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, abstentions? Item passes 5-0. Dr. Trio, 5.6.
President Shaw, members of the governing board, item 5.6 is authorization for the governing board as well as the superintendent to go to the National School Boards Association Conference in New Orleans. As public officials, you're responsible for governance, you're stewards of not only the public trust, but the public's finances as well. So it makes sense for the governing board to be able to receive professional development. I know that going out of state isn't always the most popular thing to do, but there are thousands of school districts around the country, thousands of different school boards that have seen a variety of situations. They faced a variety of challenges similar to what we have here in TUSD. And one of the positive things about breaking out of the Arizona bubble is you get to see districts similar to ours, demographically, physically, size-wise, and you get to sit down and talk with other leaders from board member to board member about how they're handling things like the issues like teacher vacancies, shortages with ex-ed, how they're handling transportation, school safety, on and on and on. So the times that I have gone and I've had the opportunity to be with board members, I found the sessions to be robust, and I found that the learning was very valuable. So we've placed the item here for governing board consideration for another year of potential attendance at the NSBA National Conference.
Thank you, Dr. Trujillo. Governing board members. Mr. Romero.
I know we got a couple people talk about it today, but I looked at it a little bit differently. On the ASBA, on their political agenda for advocacy, the first line that they have is, ASBA's position on issues is based on the association's political agenda. Some of the items they have in here, they would like to see the return of desegregation funding to a primary tax. TSB's dealing with this deseg since 1974. We should be out of it by the end of this year. Does it make sense to go back into doing something like that? Allow school districts greater flexibility in the divestiture or use of taxpayer-funded assets. I think we need to always make sure we keep strong watch on those. They also support policy that eliminates the use of zero-tolerance disciplinary policies in Arizona schools. So I did a definition check, zero-tolerance policy. This is intended to secure the students and staff safety as well as provide an educational environment that is free of drugs, violence, firearms. The policy is called zero tolerance because any violation of the policy will be met with certain swift and reasonable punishments. The reasonable punishments are disciplinary measures aimed to correct the misbehavior while encouraging respect and compliance to the policy and the code of conduct. So to support ASBA is supporting policies that eliminates zero tolerance disciplinary policies. I think that's a slap in the face after we all voted for a new code of conduct. They also have in their list of policy, state standard testing shall not be used for any purpose other than year-over-year measurement of student growth in the tested subject. Rethink and redefine the role and purpose of standardized testing and develop meaningful assessments and other measurable outcomes. They also have on here, they oppose any measure that would result in fewer qualified voters from being easily able to vote or register to vote. I'm not sure what that has to do with the education of our students. After reading this, I believe our TUSD constituency does not want to have TUSD associated with an organization that focus is more on political ideology. This organ is driven by political agenda, as it said, not education. It doesn't want the best education for your children. This is obvious with their take on state standardized testing. In addition to not supporting this agenda item, I would recommend we revisit our membership with ASBA when it comes up for renewal. I feel it doesn't connect with the TUSD values, and I know it doesn't connect with mine. Thank you.
So, Mr. Romero, this is for the NSBA conference. The ASBA is deaffiliated with NSBA. There's no direct relationship between ASB and NSBA.
They're two separate organizations?
Yes. Yes. So whatever happens in Arizona and ASBA, there was an affiliation years ago, but they are no longer affiliated. And so for years, they haven't had any affiliation.
Okay.
And so the NSBA conference is for the National School Board Association, which is a completely different organization.
I'm sorry, I thought that was part of the same organization.
Ms. Ekstrom.
I just wanted to make that clarification as well.
Ms. Shaw.
Thank you. You know, this is a high ticket price for this conference, and although, you know, having professional development opportunities as a school board member is important, this is just a very large price tag. Not that I haven't ever participated in a conference. I went to the law conference last year, and I did gain some knowledge and network and learn some things from other districts. That's true. Yeah, but it came at a high price. And I mean, this is even more, almost $4,000 per person. And the call to the audience letter made a good point that, you know, if we expect our students to learn online, like we have the opportunity to take this conference online as well, and that would be like only 500-ish per person. So I think that would, you know, be a better use of taxpayer dollars. So I won't be supporting this.
Thank you, Ms. Shaw. So I'll say, you know, I attended the conference in person this past spring. I attended online 2 years prior to that, our first year on the governing board. And I didn't get much out of it in the online version. The in-person version, you get to go pick what sessions you go to. You're able to talk to other governing board members. A lot of what I learned, as Dr. Trujillo mentioned, wasn't just coming from, you know, listening to the presentations, but talking to the person from New York next to me, talking to the person from Michigan and behind me, and really learning from everyone, and networking and talking to the vendors at the exhibition hall and learning, you know, what is going on with the different field of education. And we are tasked by our community as elected members to, you know, manage our district, manage the education of over 40,000 students per year, manage a budget, you know, well exceeding $500 million, you know, close to more of $1 billion if you include all the ESSER funds. And for us to do that in the best way possible, we need to learn how to be good governing board members. It's not something that I learned in medical school, or we learned in high school, or, you know, something we learned in the past. You know, we're all newish to this. You know, the three of us here are senior members of our governing board with our, you know, 2.5 years of experience of serving. And I think we can get a lot from this. And so, you know, regardless of what your vote is on this, and if the governing board approves this, I would really encourage you to attend and connect with other governing board members around the country and learn from these sessions. I was able to attend sessions on evidence-based English language acquisition, which was one of my focus areas last year, in the last academic year, here locally with the Budget Advisory Committee addressing this, and then being able to attend the national session on English language acquisition and how to use the evidence to best choose curriculums and what are some of the best curriculums, really reinforced what I was already working on the previous 9 months in the school year. And going to other sessions on engaging students, you know, bring those ideas back to our district, and learning from districts around the country are doing is so beneficial to really not reinvent the wheel, or not, you know, pretend that we're in a vacuum in what we do, but really learn from other districts and best practices and what they're doing. So I'd really encourage you, regardless of your vote tonight, to attend this conference in person and, help make all of us better governing board members in the future for those who can attend.
Dr. Shaw?
Ms. Shaw.
Oh.
Ms. Lynn Rose, sorry, and then Ms. Shaw.
Okay, thank you. So I did attend last year as well. And it was my second year that I attended. And just as both Dr. Shaw and Dr. Trujillo said, it's not just that you get to go and travel and do this stuff, but you're talking to other school districts that are experiencing the same things you are as your school district. And that's what I found most valuable. And also the fact, yes, it is professional development, but we are bound by open meeting law. So the 5 of us just can't go and hang out somewhere and talk other than executive session. And we're agendized in that. And we're agendized here because we follow the law. So I like going to this conference simply for the fact that we can talk as a group or have the opportunity to talk as a group without any violations, and being able to get to know each other a little bit better so as we can work as a cohesive unit, which is what any governing board, whether it's school district or otherwise, do. And last year, the sessions I attended with Dr. Trujillo were about communications, and the district is now working on new ideas, and sessions on just how do how can you become a better board member? How can you work with your superintendent? How can you work with your community? So I think they're valuable. I do understand, you look at the number, it's a cost, but in the long run, do you want a really great functioning board? I think this is one step to do that.
Michelle.
Thank you. I'm wondering, are we a member of NSBA or any of the participating, I see NAPCOM and CUBE districts, where we would be given a smaller price tag for attendance of the conference? I'm just curious if we're members of NSBA.
To Mrs. Barboa, who manages the board's membership in various professional organizations.
No, we're not members of those organizations that are listed.
Okay, and so why are we not members?
I don't know. I would probably have to check the past to see what they've done in the past to see if they were affiliated with any of those memberships, and then I can bring it forward to the board at another meeting.
Okay, that would be information I think everyone could benefit from, because I know President Shaw mentioned that ASBA and NSBA are not affiliated. They used to be. I wonder, what caused that schism? If we could get some background information on that as well, just to know. Thank you.
And again, the item here would be like the max amount we would be authorizing spending. Hopefully the travel expenses are less, and this is just kind of the max amount that we're authorizing.
Yeah, I kind of went to the higher amounts when I was doing the estimations, just in case something did happen that we'd have to pick the higher ones. But obviously we do try to look for the lower cost for hotels and for airfare and things like that. So this is just the kind of higher estimation that was put in to the BAI.
Thank you, Ms. Barber. I'll move the item.
I'll second.
Any further discussion? Mr. Romero.
Yeah, so I too kind of concerned about the cost, but I understand the pros for it. If I were to participate, I would only be an online person.
All right. All those in favor of approving the travel to or attendance of the NSBA conference, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed?
Nay.
Nay.
Item passes 3-2. Thank you. All right. And again, even though if you voted against the item, I would still encourage you to attend. I think it would be really valuable to really just learn how to be a better school board member and represent our district and make impact for our district. All right, I'm going to move us on to our action items. Item 6.1, proclamation of September 19, 2023 as National Information Technology Professionals Day. Dr. Trujillo.
Yes, I'd like to welcome our Executive Director for Technology Services, Mr. Rabi Hamade, to read the proclamation celebrating all of our wonderful ITS team members.
Thank you, Dr. Trujillo, and thank you for all your support, governing board members. President Shaw, thank you for all your support, especially this year with all the events that happened this year, so I appreciate all your support. Let me quickly read this, and we're asking you today to proclaim September 19th, 2023 as National IT Professional Day. Whereas information technology IT professionals play a significant role in the efficiency and effectiveness of keeping technology systems running. And whereas from developing new software solutions to maintaining hardware systems to troubleshooting complex network issues, IT professionals are essential for keeping businesses around the world and TUSD running smoothly. And whereas the Tucson Unified School District recognizes the importance and benefits of IT professionals as an integral role enriching the lives of our students, teachers, and staff, and securing a desirable place to learn and work. And whereas the Tucson Unified School District supports the skilled work of IT professionals who connect students and staff with technology and each other and provide and promote opportunities for learning equity and sustainability. And finally, whereas Tucson Unified School District has designated the third Tuesday of each September as National IT Professional Day, we are asking, therefore, our esteemed governing board of the Tucson Unified School District to hereby proclaim September 19th, 2023 as National IT Professionals Day. Thank you.
I will move the item.
Thank you, Mr. Hamade, and thank you, Ms. Sloan Rose, for moving the item.
Second.
All right, Ms. Ekstrom beat us all to the punch for a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed or abstentions? Item passes 5-0. Thank you, Mr. Hamade, and thank you to all of our IT professionals in our school district for all the hard work you do, and especially a very challenging and tough year this past 9 months or so.
Absolutely. Thank you very much.
Okay. So we go to item 6.3, resolution in support of litigation against social media companies. Dr. Trio.
Yeah, President Shaw, I will turn this item over to our General Counsel, Mr. Ross.
Thank you, Dr. Trujillo. Good evening, board members, President Shaw. The board has had an opportunity to discuss this in a legal advice executive session. And basically what this resolution would do is authorize the district to join in a class action lawsuit that is happening with school districts across the country to similar to the Juul litigation that the district participated in, to combat the product that social media companies have provided to students that causes disruption and distraction in the educational environment. I don't know if you want me to read the entire resolution, but basically, you know, we have a Surgeon General who has pointed out the detrimental effects on children of these intentionally addictive and distracting products that through social media that are in our students' hands, as they say constantly, they themselves say. And that we can see that playing out in our schools and the distraction and disruption that it provides. What this resolution would do is authorize our attorneys, Wagstaff and Cartmel, who helped us out with the Juul litigation, to file suit against any appropriate parties. And obviously we're going after, we'd be going after the big guys, Meta, Instagram, TikTok, and any others that might, the appropriate parties. So there may be others that would be added. This is spreading across the country. There's a case that's been filed in San Francisco, similar to the Juul litigation. That's where this one would be filed as well. And I'm sure that the attorneys from Wagstaff and Cartmel will keep us apprised of the progress of that. We were a bellwether district in the Jewel case, which meant that the district participated deeply in the discovery process, was going to be one of the cases that went to trial. We don't know yet whether that would be something that TUSD would participate in, but certainly the board's direction on that would be welcome if it turns out that we are a good district to be one of those kind of vanguard districts as well. But we're prepared to do that again. It was a lot of work from staff, but I think the accountability that this district placed on purveyors of this kind of product, which is similar to in a lot of ways to social media, was worth it. So my recommendation is that the board consider this seriously and approve it.
Thank you, Mr. Ross. Governing board members. Ms. Luna Rose.
Thank you. Mr. Ross, when you said filed in San Francisco, is that the Ninth Circuit?
It's actually in a federal district court.
Okay.
So it would go actually to the 10th.
Okay.
No, that would be the 9th, but it's actually in the federal district court. It wouldn't go to the circuit court unless and until there's an appeal. But there's a lot to happen before there's an appeal, including potential settlement discussions, and that's several years away to even get to that point.
Okay. So how long would, let's say, so a litigation like this, how long do you, a ballpark on how long do you think this would take?
Well, I believe we started Jewel in 2019.
Okay.
And just are wrapping that up now. These are defendants with probably deeper pockets than even Jewel. So we can expect that the resistance will be significant, but I would think 3 to 4 years is probably reasonable.
Okay. Well, speaking as a parent of a high school student who is on social media like most of her peers, this is something that I feel very strongly that I would like to see the district go into litigation. I mean, we all use social media. But I think, with our kids under the age of 18, there's not enough experience there to understand. I mean, and there's pages out there, that kids talk about each other on Instagram, and I've seen them, so I think this is an important step, and it also shows that TUSD would be a leader in trying to keep our kids as safe as we can. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Luna Rose. Ms. Shaw.
Thank you. Mr. Ross, I have some questions about what's the ultimate goal of litigation with these social media companies? Is it just to get a payout like we did with Jewel, or are we coupling it with recommendations for our parents in our district to just don't download those programs? I know there's some other apps that you can permanently block things, or are we trying to get it so Arizona has a law where if you're under 18 you can't use TikTok or something like that? I know that's probably impossible, but is there any material thing that we're trying to do for this specific issue in the litigation?
Well, similar to the Jewel litigation, obviously there's damage to the district from this product, and that's something that we would have to prove. But we want to go for compensation for to address those damages. The other part of it, though, is to send a message that these intentionally addictive products need to have some kind of protection for younger users. Will that be part of an eventual settlement? I don't know, but one of the ways you get to that point of even having these companies consider that is to basically hit them where it hurts, which is the pocketbook. That was one of the things that we were trying, when we started Jewel, I remember the board discussing, we may not get any money out of this, but if we at least make a strong statement that these companies need to think about the impact on youngsters before they do this, that would be worth it. It turns out that it was financially helpful, and there were some advertising limitations that result not because of the law, not as an order of the Jewel lawsuit, but kind of in a reaction from Jewel trying to limit their advertising targeted at young people. The same sort of thing could happen with the social media companies, where they see this as a potential big liability, and they start changing some practices so they don't have to do this over and over again.
Okay. Yeah, like a Surgeon General warning or something like that.
The Surgeon General has warned all of us, but do they put that on a website? That's a possibility, maybe not from this litigation, but from action by the federal government.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Shaw. So I have a few things to say as I support this litigation. There's some of the evidence here. According to the American Academy of Child and Adolescent Psychiatry, risks of social media may include interference with sleep, exercise, homework, and family activities. And we know that when there's interference with teens' sleep, exercise, homework, and family activities, our students' time in our school suffers. Their academic performance suffers, their behavior in our schools suffers. According to the Social Media and Youth Mental Health Advisory, summarizing research and developed by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, released earlier this year, 95% of teens 13 to 17 report using a social media app, and a third of them report using screens until midnight or later, predominantly using social media. Teens using the average daily use of social media face double the risk of depression and anxiety symptoms, and use of social media can perpetuate body dissatisfaction, disordered eating behaviors, and low self-esteem. We believe that social media companies knowingly target teens with algorithms that are addictive, increasing use and time spent on social media apps, and maximizing profits for these companies and their shareholders to the detriment of our students and community. This lawsuit is just one way to hold social media companies accountable for the damage they are doing on an entire generation in our community. And when we win, funds will help TUSD better support students and families that are struggling with mental illness, with behavioral issues, and so many of the other consequences social media is having on our youth. And so I will move the item tonight.
Second.
Item is moved by myself and seconded by Ms. Shaw. Any further discussion or comments, Ms. Shaw?
Yes, thank you. I would be remiss if I didn't say that, social media doesn't just impact youth, it impacts adults as well. It's just as damaging to us. And so I really appreciate this item, and I'm going to be happy to vote for it, so thank you. And let's all try to stay off of social media. I know it's hard because I am as well addicted to social media.
Thank you, Ms. Shaw, for that advisory to all of our listening audience here tonight.
Yes.
Correct.
All those in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed or abstentions? Item passes 5-0. And a big shout out, Mr. Ross and Mr. Aronoff, to our legal department for all of your work on not only this issue, but all the work that went into the Jewel and Altria settlements recently.
Thank you.
Okay. Dr. Trio, we have 3 governing board policies coming in for a second read. Start with 6.4, students, transportation, and school buses.
Yes, President Shaw, members of the governing board. I do believe that for the next couple of items, Mr. Ross and Mr. Aronoff will be kind of switching off or is it all 3? Is it all you, Michael?
I think it's all me.
Okay, it'll be Michael for 6.4 through 6.6. Take it away.
All right, thank you. Good evening. So 6.4 is policy EEA. It is really an update in language. There's not really a substantive change, but you'll note, for example, we don't have junior high schools anymore. And I think maybe one of the most notable changes is that we take out the language around handicapped students and replace it with students with disabilities, which is the accepted term far and wide now, and so what we should be using in our policy. So this is a second read. This was posted for public comment We received no comment on it, so it is before the board tonight for final action implementing the policy.
Thank you, Mr. Aronoff. Governing board members, any comments? All right, I'll move the item.
I'll second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed or abstentions? Item passes 5-0. Thank you, Mr. Aronoff. I think you're leading us for all three of these?
Yep.
All right, item 6.5, food provision for staff, parents, and volunteers, a revision.
Yes, so policy EFA was, this proposed update is in response to legislation that changed ARS 15342, which added some clarification about basically the district's ability to have food and drink at district events. And so we have updated the language around that. No other real substantive changes. That's kind of the heart of it, is to keep up with the updated guidance that we're getting on what authority we have. This also is a second read. It was posted for 30 days with no comment received, and is for the board before the board for final action tonight.
Thank you, Mr. Aronoff. Governing board members, any comments or feedback or questions? All right, I'll move this item. Item moved by myself and seconded by Ms. Luna Rose. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed or abstentions? Item passes 5-0. All right, on to our last item, Mr. Aronoff, student admissions, a revision.
Yeah, this one is real minor changes to update language to reflect just current district language, and that's it. Nothing substantive. This is the second read. It was posted for public comment with no comments received, and is before you for final action tonight.
Thank you, Mr. Aronoff. Governing board members. All right, see no comments. I'll move the item.
I'll second.
Item moved by myself and seconded by Ms. Luna Rose. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed or abstentions? Item passes 5-0. Mr. Aronoff, thank you for leading us through those policy revisions.
Thank you.
I don't think Dr. Trujillo thought it'd be going that quickly. Is Mr. Fernandez? Oh, Mr. Fernandez, you're great. So we'll move on to item 7.1, TUSD Employee Appreciation and Recognition Calendar for the 23-24 school year. Mr. Fernandez.
Hi, good evening, President Shaw, members of the board. I'm hoping this will be an easy one. What you have before you is a proposed 23-2024 TUSD Employee Appreciation calendar, essentially. And I think, as you know, every school year there are nationally recognized and days that where we appreciate many different employees within our school system. The more prominent ones, of course, Teacher Appreciation Day, but we actually have a host of different opportunities during the school year to take time to give gratitude to the hardworking employees of TUSD. One of our goals in the district is to not just continue to hire quality teachers and staff, but also to retain them. And we know that that when we try to address attrition, that employee appreciation is an important part of that, helping employees feel valued, helping them letting them know that we truly appreciate the work that they put in. And this goes above the compensation that they earn, but really creating a culture and climate within every site, within every school, that lets employees know how important they are to the work that we do. So your adoption of this calendar is kind of just a starting point where, from the top down, you set the tone for the organization that this is an important priority. It helps us because some of these dates are established. We have some floating dates, which really require the district to just say, this is the date we're going to recognize employees. You help to nail those dates down. And it's something that we will share with all sites and encourage, again, through all sites at the schools and at central office, that when these days come and as we approach them, from the board, from the superintendent to leadership throughout the schools, our school district, that we take the time to recognize our employees, whether it's through any particular activity or event, or just time off to say thank you. We want to start with your endorsement, and then use this to foster and remind each other that throughout the school year we should keep this in mind as part of our organizational set of priorities. So you have it before you. We made efforts to make sure that we check the calendar, check the regular national dates that we typically try to celebrate. And then also we circulated amongst our various sites and departments to make sure we weren't missing anything. And what was good was we had a lot of our team members say, "Hey, don't forget this group of employees," and so forth. I don't know if it's 100% complete. We might find that there are other days that we may have missed, but it's our commitment that as we do that, as we go through that, that we continue to refine and update the calendar so that we are as thorough as possible. So with that, we thank you for your consideration.
Thank you, Mr. Fernandez. I think this is a great way to organize a lot of the recognitions over the course of the year and hope that we don't forget folks. And I'll give you the same feedback I gave Dr. Trio earlier this week about this item. If it is approved by the governing board tonight, that this doesn't replace, still coming to the governing board with proclamations and acknowledgement of our staff like we did earlier today with our IT our team. Even though one of my goals this president year has been to have our meetings be more efficient, but I think taking the time to recognize our staff just does a lot, because our staff work so hard, and the people in our community, in our district here, just are really deserve the recognition that they get. So I still encourage our leadership to bring these proclamations and acknowledgements of our different teams to the governing board meetings as they occur throughout the school year and throughout the entire year, rather, so that we can continue acknowledging staff and letting the community know, who do we have here, working for our district, and and the work that they do. I think that's so important to do. Mr. Romero and Ms. Shaw.
Reiterate what Dr. Shaw had mentioned. There's a lot of people within this district. Again, having the opportunity to meet with so many different people along the way. This is a small, a note of appreciation that we can give to them. So even though it's small, it speaks volumes. And I know for me, this kind of gets it a nice, calendar, so I can, look at who we're celebrating and make sure I go out of my way to make an extra effort to that. And I'm also glad to see, was it School Board Recognition Month? Coming up in January.
We're
Thank you. And it also includes staff, so go Yolanda. Thank you so much.
Sure.
Ms. Shaw.
Thank you. Let's see. So I was wondering if we can add librarians to the April date. I know it says library assistants and media specialists. I know some of our library assistants have the full master's degree certification, right, even though they're working at, in a lower position. And so if we could just throw librarian in there to honor.
Well, we definitely can. I think you're absolutely right. We do. Those are the employees' titles that we just want to make sure we don't forget. These are really working as our librarians. But that's a easy enough edit to make sure that we keep that in mind.
Cool. Thank you. And then what was I going to say? I know this says employee appreciation days, but is there a student appreciation day that we could put on this calendar?
We'll look for what's out there, but again, I think this is also for. This is something that we can build around. Yeah. So, when we went through this process, there was this point in time where people kept adding employees, right, and what we said was, the more the better. I think is the kind of spirit we take. So we're happy to take input and look and see if there are other things that could be added as part of building this culture of appreciation within our district.
Okay, thank
and
you.
If I could also say, just in response to Dr. Shaw, this isn't meant to be the only thing. I think that you're right. This is actually the calendar, so that as you get, as board meetings approach, as a superintendent's report is put together, that we have this in advance, so we don't miss those opportunities and we can plan for them ahead of time. So we definitely welcome anything you would like to do as well, and we will encourage. I just don't want to be responsible for your board meetings to get longer, but we're happy to work on balancing that.
Well, this might be a great thing for superintendent's report. And now we've taken action. If we do take action tonight, then we don't take action later on in the meeting, and we can just acknowledge the staff in our superintendent's report.
Great.
Dr. Shaw.
Ms. LaRose.
Okay. Thank you so much. I just want to echo my colleagues that I think this is great. It's just I'm seeing so many really great things coming from the staff tonight at the board meeting, and so thank you to adding to that. But just putting my little communications hat on, as I look at somebody like Mary, who's out there, and Kevin and all the communication staff, if you can maybe find a day for them, because we have a huge district and they're running around our schools, and there's a lot of good things going on, and so I would, whether it's a media or communications or something like that.
Yeah, I think once the board approves this and we share it out, we'll continue to get that kind of input. I'm sure my staff at Human Resources will say, hey, where's the Human Resources day?
With them too.
Right. But I do think that's a good conversation to have. I mean, that's a better conversation to have about as to when and how do we show love for all of the employees who are working hard throughout the district. There is a key point. There is a key part that the communications office will be playing as part of this. We're working hand in hand with communications, with employee relations, to make sure this is not, it's not just a board and an HR or initiative. It's a district-wide initiative, so we will want to communicate this so that we can amplify the message as schools and as sites, take the time to express appreciation. We can amplify that and communicate that out to the broader community that this is what we're about.
Thank you.
Thanks.
All right, so I'll move the item.
I'll second.
All right, item moved by myself and seconded by Mr. Romero. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposition or abstentions? Item passes 5-0. Thank you, Mr. Fernandez.
Thank you. Good evening.
All right, and our last item of their agenda, 8.1, MTSS and TUSD, a school year 23-24 update. Dr. Trujillo.
Yes, President Shaw, members of the governing board, there's probably no strategy more important or more prominent in our school improvement efforts and our student achievement efforts than the multi-tiered systems of support initiative. And there's probably no bigger moral obligation that we have as a system to intervene when kids are struggling. And we achieve both of those when we have highly performing multi-tiered systems of support teams working and flourishing at all of our campuses. And this is a major commitment in the former unitary status plan. It's a primary commitment in our post-unitary status commitment, and of course a foundational strategy for school improvement. So we wanted to inform the community and the board of this year's refocus on highly effective MTSS teams. Here to lead us through is Dr. Flory Hewitt, Assistant Superintendent for Curriculum Instruction.
Good evening, Governing Board members, Governing Board President Shaw, Clerk Romero, and Dr. Trujillo, Legal Counsel again. Flory Hewitt, Assistant Soup for Curriculum and Instruction. And I'm also here with our MTSS team. That's going to be Heidi Aranda, our Senior Director for Professional Development and Curriculum, as well as our Program Manager of Academic Interventions, Michelle Merrick, and Michael Blunt, who is our Multi-Tiered System of Supports Program Coordinator. So I wanted to make sure to acknowledge the team that's also behind some of this planning that took place. So for tonight's presentation, our purpose is twofold. Number one is to provide you with an overview of the MTSS process. That's, again, the multi-tiered system of support as it works in our district, but also to share with you our renewed focus on really enhancing highly effective MTSS practices across the district in every school. To anchor us back, as you remember, our strategic plan does state in Goal 1.2 that we will be implementing multi-tiered systems of support with fidelity at each site to provide interventions for each student's success. So that is our anchor for this renewed focus. And with that, we're going to start with just what is MTSS. And to walk us through that, I'm going to have Director Heidi Aranda show us what's MTSS, and then we're going to share with you our action plan for improving these practices across our district. So, Ms. Heidi.
My eyes get tired at this time of night, so I'm going to put on some glasses. Good evening, Board President, board members, Dr. Trujillo, and Council Ross. So MTSS is defined as an integrated framework that uses positive interventions and supports responsive to the whole child needs. Every student receives what we refer to as universal classroom instruction, which we also call Tier 1. Some students need additional instruction or Tier 2 instruction, which most often occurs in small groups. Fewer number of students need more intensive interventions more frequently, and that we refer to as Tier 3 supports. This presentation will show our plan for strengthening the MTSS process by ensuring that the MTSS process is implemented with fidelity at all sites. We firmly believe that to strengthen any system, we must gather stakeholder input and strategically plan our action steps together to ensure that, number one, we're in agreement on which areas need to be strengthened, and number two, that there's a collaborative approach in addressing gaps and planning action steps. In order to do this, we gathered a committee comprised of diverse roles and positions to identify our strengths, weaknesses, and next steps regarding MTSS. This committee was charged with developing a needs assessment, and from that data, developed an MTSS action plan with attainable goals and strategies. And our action plan is also attached in the board documents. The needs assessment was developed by the expertise of the MTSS committee, and there are 5 major components, which are leadership and empowerment, data-driven decision-making, 3-tiered instruction intervention model, building capacity, infrastructure for implementation, and finally, implementation fidelity. Each component has 3 to 5 statements pertaining to the key component, and participants were asked to score each statement to reflect the appropriate level of implementation at their site. The needs assessment was sent to all sites. This slide represents the participation percentages of the district total and the participation percentages for grade bands. The district participation total was 90%, elementary was 96%, K-8 93%, middle school 73%, and finally high school was 83%. This data represents schools that submitted at least one response to the survey. Some sites submitted individual staff responses, while others worked together as an MTSS team or staff to submit the survey together. Based on the needs assessment scores from sites, the MTSS committee developed the following goals. Goal 1, to increase the systemic implementation of a 3-tiered instructional intervention MTSS model at all sites with clear instruction and intervention strategies that address the whole child. Goal 2, to increase the application of MTSS systems that analyze and utilize multiple forms of data to make problem-solving decisions that address the needs of all students at all sites. And goal number 3, the academic intervention department will provide high-quality professional learning opportunities to increase the fidelity, capacity, and infrastructure of the MTSS system. Now we're going to look at some of these goals and strategies. We won't view them all tonight, but I'll kind of give you a little bit of a flavor. Goal 1 has 2 objectives. Goal 1 has 2 objectives. The first objective is supported by 4 strategies. Although we understand that 1.1.1 is limited to funding, the committee agreed that just having an MTSS lead would limit the fidelity of the MTSS implementation at sites. In TUSD schools, each site either has a full-time MTSS facilitator or an MTSS lead. An MTSS lead is a staff member that volunteers to take on the responsibilities of the MTSS process for a stipend. Objective 1.2, to align with this, it states the importance of a central location for MTSS resources. This summer, 2023, we developed an MTSS SharePoint that has curated all of the resources, tools, processes for our MTSS facilitators. This is a snippet of that website, that SharePoint. This SharePoint, you'll notice that there are resources, videos, and tools that can easily be accessed. We have videos of sample structures for meetings, etc. In Goal 2, Objective 1 highlights the importance of using data to drive the MTSS process. To foster the data-driven culture, Strategy 2.1.4 provides a dedicated time for MTSS facilitators to analyze data, to identify student needs, and to develop Tier 2 and 3 intervention plans. This slide gives an example of a weekly schedule, which is Strategy 2.1.4. There are also examples of the monthly site report, which facilitators submit, and a sample MTSS support plan that aligns with these strategies. Goal 3, Objective 1, aligns to strategies that support previous objectives. Strategy 2.1.1 speaks to the importance of professional development. MTSS facilitators attend monthly CIPDA. These sessions, during this time, MTSS facilitators are provided PD on data-driven practices. This includes training on creating and updating the MTSS support plans. The role of the MTSS facilitator or lead provide to a site is critical. All sites have either a full-time MTSS facilitator or a designated MTSS lead that performs the MTSS duties for a stipend. These individuals drive the MTSS process at their site. This slide describes the roles and responsibilities an MTSS facilitator conducts at their site. Currently, the district funds 38 full-time MTSS facilitators across all 5 regions. Additionally, 30 sites have an ESSER-funded MTSS facilitator, and 4 sites have a Title I funded MTSS facilitator. 16 sites have an MTSS lead, which is someone who holds another full-time position at the site but receives a stipend to carry out the MTSS duties. In addition to creating the MTSS action plan, we have made additional revisions to the MTSS process for this 23-24 school year to further strengthen student support at our sites. These revisions align with many of the strategies recommended in the action plan. In order to ensure that all students requiring supports are being discussed, we are requiring that sites hold MTSS meetings 4 times per month instead of the previous required of 2. We believe that this renewed focus on the MTSS process through the action plan and additional revisions will be able to implement a highly effective MTSS system in every school. Thank you for the opportunity to share how we are strengthening the MTSS process in TUSD and for your support.
Great, thank you, Ms. Aranda, and thank you everyone for being here. We have some staff members who don't usually come to our governing board meetings. We'd love to get to know them a little bit as well. Can we introduce them?
Yes, this is Michelle Merrick. Michelle Merrick is our program manager of academic interventions. All of our intervention programs fall under her department. And a major system within our academic interventions is our MTSS process. And Mr. Michael Blunt, who was a fabulous MTSS facilitator at Dietz, came and is leading the team of MTSS facilitators in TUSD. And Michael and Michelle, and also one of their staff members, Marco, plans all of the professional development and leadership within MTSS.
Great, thank you, and thank you for being here tonight. And how many MTSS coordinators did we have 5 years ago?
Oh goodness, 5 years ago. We've always had the, I want to say 38. Yeah. So 38 DSEG funded MTSS facilitators.
Yeah, and almost every school has someone focused on that. And I think a lot of people in our community, a lot of people wonder what happened to all the ESSER money that we received. And this is one of the places that we really put a lot of resources in. As I mentioned earlier about English language acquisition and what really makes a difference, and it's, things like small group instruction, the professional development, all those things that really lead into success for our students. And the MTSS coordinators are so important to making sure we organize all that, to make sure that the curriculum service providers are functioning to the highest realm, and then our reading to interventionists and everyone in our schools are being utilized the best that we can for our students that need them. And these folks are so important to that process. And I keep on using the P word tonight, but I'm so proud of our district for really going to where we need to and doing what we need to do to make sure that the funds that we have are used best, that we're really addressing the needs of our students in the most effective way possible. And we have the results to show that this is working. 90% of our schools in TUSD are A, B, or C rated, which is more than it has been even before the pandemic started. And so great work to your team, and I'm so glad that our district has such amazing people at almost all of our schools to really lead that process and help make a difference and help our students learn and grow.
Thank you. Dr. Shaw?
Ms. Luna Rose.
Thank you so much for the presentation. So I just wanted to kind of echo off my colleague. I've been doing a lot of tours the last week or two, and the first thing that I'm told is like, well, here's our MTSS coordinator. And there's the principals and the coordinators are excited to tell me what they're doing in their school. And so I'm pleased to see that this is all going on. And I know, as Dr. Shaw just said, the ESSER funded ones kind of get a little like, okay, what are we going to do later down the line, right? And that's coming up soon. So hopefully we can all put our heads together and figure that out. But I really appreciate your work and your team's work, and thanks for coming tonight.
Yeah, thank you, Ms. Luna Rose. And I don't know, Dr. Trio or someone can talk about what we're going to be doing, putting a post-ESSER world to try to keep some. I know we're trying to look at DSEG funding again and some other methods to keep this momentum going. We don't want to lose the momentum that we have.
Yeah, we are taking a deep look at the current desegregation budget. It's a collaborative process with all of the departments that receive desegregation funding, with the goal of coming up with the funding necessary to fund all of the academic loss positions that were funded through ESSER. And at the heart of those academic loss positions, MTSS coordinators, you also had reading and math interventionists and response to intervention teachers, counselors as well. So those are the positions we're going to be looking to continue to fund. So stay tuned.
Mr. Romero.
So a facilitator versus a lead. I have lists here with all the different ones that are leads. If they're getting the stipend on that, just are they as effective as someone who's strictly focused as the MTSS coordinator or the facilitator?
They are definitely limited in what they are able to do. I know they are able to facilitate meetings and gather people together, but it's that constant looking at the data, digging into school-wide systemic data, thinking about the school as a whole and the intervention systems, developing plans. They're more of a support, and the staff at that school takes on more responsibility.
So we're leaking more to, we have some leads there, but eventually have a facilitator at each school and not a lead. That's kind of our goal.
The committee was pretty vocal about that goal.
And it really is. I wouldn't say that they're not as effective. I think it's a capacity issue. And we have very effective leads that come out of the classroom, but they're limited in their capacity because it's not just the organization of the meetings, it's not just the analysis of data. They actually have to coordinate all of the services as well coming out of the meetings. If it's decided upon by the team that a behavioral plan is needed, or that there's an academic tutoring component, or that a parent meeting needs to happen, a lot of times it's a facilitator that needs to be the liaison to the counselor or to the teachers to make sure that the meeting takes place. Now you multiply that by 25, 30, 40, 50 students that effective teams will see throughout a semester or a year. And that's where the leads, the 1.0 dedicated position, they have the capacity advantage.
Well, thank you, governing board members, and thank you for the presentation tonight. This is a great program to highlight for sure. Great.
Dr. Shaw, I had a question.
Ms. Ekstrom, go ahead.
You said you were going to return with some ideas for these MTSS positions. That wouldn't include cutting any positions from any other departments, would it?
We're going to be doing is looking at DSEG first from a programmatic perspective. We always start with what can we cut with professional development, with training, what are we spending on consultants, what are we spending on supplies, what are we spending on travel, before we get into positions. And then when we get to positions, do you have any vacant positions that you haven't hired for? We're very proud of not having to bring large groups of employees to this board to lay off. We want to continue that success, and we want to make sure that we have in mind our employees' jobs as well when we're making these decisions.
Thank you.
Great, thank you, Ms. Ekstrom, for that question. Thank you. Ms. Hewitt, is there anything else you want to say? Or no? Okay, great. All right. Our last item is our 9.1 future meeting dates and agenda items. Dr. Trujillo, is there anything you want to highlight on the upcoming meetings?
Reconvene on the 26th. We're looking forward to the annual comprehensive financial report. Will be on the agendized for the 26th. We're also going to be welcoming in our lobbyists from Tri-Advocates for the legislative wrap-up and for the board to set new legislative goals for the upcoming session.
Right. Governing board members, anything else on this item? Great, thank you. I'll adjourn our meeting. Thank you, everyone. Good night.